please bear with us. Do you want to say a few words, Kathy, before I go out and hit the Kansho, or?
Oh, no, I'm good. you know, please ask us questions, whatever, after the service. If you have any questions now, you can ask. We do have, yeah, we do have ojuzus, or it's called nenjus, in the back if you wanted to use one.
So let's forgive the people at home must forgive us for taking extra time to refresh the incense here. And we are, as said, going to go out and ring the calling bell. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Butsu. Namo Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Want to say a few words?
Huh? No, no.
Wake up. Okay.
No.
We will begin the service with the ring of the calling bell. Namo Amida Butsu.
Thank you very much, Sensei. We are going to begin today's service with, if everyone can rise, we will have a reflective reading. And the one thing I'd like everyone to do too is to reflect on the people who passed away, who were killed in Monterey Park. It is, it is a very, very sad thing to have happened. So our condolences to everybody out there. We must search for the inner light, which is the infinite Buddha within. Nobody can find the Buddha for us. Each person must find the Buddha within him or herself. And when we find the Buddha, we realize that it was this Buddha, the great power of wisdom and compassion, that has been operating within us through timeless time. Reverend Ken Tsuji. Namo Amida Butsu.
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 Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Please be seated. Today for our Sutra chanting, and I hope, Marvin, were you able to get a copy for her? Okay, it's Gassho to Amida. It is chanted to the melody of Ju Nirai, and it's in English, so it's an opportunity for everyone to understand the message in the chanting.
And this was put together by Reverend Kenryu Tsuji, the same minister and former bishop of our organization whose quote Kathy read at the beginning. So we'll do our best on this. It's pretty easy. It's down twice, up once, down the fourth time. But you'll find that I will go off, so just do it yourself. Follow as best you can. We are going to chant Gassho to Amida. Namo Amida Butsu, I recite Amida's name with deep joy and gratitude. I Gassho to Amida. Trees and grasses and flowers all grow in great compassion. This light shines throughout the world. I Gassho to Amida. Flowers bloom and flowers fall. From the seed sprout new flowers. This is the truth unchanging. I Gassho to Amida. Springtime brings the happy birds. Their songs all praise Amida. I join them in Nembutsu. I Gassho to Amida. When I call Amida's name, it's Amida calling me. Buddha's voice, my voice are one. I Gassho to Amida. When I'm lonely, I recite Namo Amida Butsu. Then I feel great compassion. I Gassho to Amida. Nembutsu in work and play. Every day with Amida. Every moment filled with light. I Gassho to Amida. Remember the golden chain. Kindness to all living things. I will follow this teaching. I Gassho to Amida. In the clear bright morning sun, in the fading light of day, in the darkness of the night, I Gassho to Amida. Namo Amida Butsu. I live in great compassion. This great power guides my life. I Gassho to Amida. Namandabu, 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 namandabu. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Ganiya shiku doku, byodo sei iesai, dohoten bodai shin, ojo anrakok. Namanda buddhamanda, namanda bu, namanda bu, namanda buddhamanda. Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu.
Thank you, Sensei. Will the Sangha please rise for Gatha in Lumbini's garden? It's in page 117 of this book. If everyone could remain standing, we will have a reflective recitation led by Reverend Gibbs. It'll be the three treasures on page 10 in your service book.
How rare and wondrous it is to have been born into human life, and now I live it. How rare and wondrous it is to be able to listen to the Buddha Dharma, and now I am able to hear it. If I do not transcend the world of delusion in this life, when will I ever attain spiritual liberation? May I, along with the entire Sangha, with sincere heart and mind, rely on that which can be truly relied on in life, the three treasures. I rely on the Buddha. May I, along with all sentient beings, awaken to the great path with my entire being and discover the highest aspiration, which is to become a Buddha. I rely on the Dharma. May I, along with all sentient beings, deeply reflect on the meaning of the sutras and gain wisdom that is as deep and vast as the ocean. I rely on the Sangha. May I, along with all sentient beings, become one Sangha of life, able to move forward and live with a dynamic spirit that is hindered by nothing. The unsurpassed, deep, and wondrous Dharma, even in millions of kalpas, is extremely difficult to encounter, but now I am able to experience and embrace it. May I come to understand and revere the true meaning of the Tathagata. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu.
If you could all be seated. Next, Reverend Gibbs will deliver the Dharma message, and the theme today is benefits now and later.
Well, again, good morning, and thank you for joining us for this regular weekly service, for which, as Kathy mentioned, we have a title this week. We usually don't have titles. This is Now and Then. And as always, I must thank Alan Goto, our chief technology person, and Kathy Kumagai, both for tech support and playing the organ for us today. Kyoko Okura Gibbs for preparing the Naijin, doing the flowers, and Kathy Mikuni for chairing today. Now I turned the heater on early this morning, so it's not bad in here, but it's been a bit nippy of late. It's been pretty cold. Before that, it was wet. One thing about Southern California, if it gets cold and then it gets rainy, you kind of appreciate the clouds blowing in because they keep the ground heat down. If you're cold long enough, you don't mind being wet. But, I'm sure that there's a lovely springtime coming soon. Well, it's coming. There's a lovely springtime coming, and it will be here then. Now it's still a bit nippy. We must wait to receive some of what we want and need. That's obvious with the weather. When the weather's bad, you don't go change now, unless you're in San Francisco or Boston. But no, it's going to take a while to change. If you're in Portland, as many of us know now, it just takes about 4 hours. It'll be cold and rainy and miserable, and 4 hours later it's beautiful. The air is clean and the sun's shining. But it's going to take some time, and some of what we want comes then, and some of it we can have right now. We must indeed receive some of what we want and some of what we need later. Yet we must also have some fulfillment now. We must have comfort now. Comfort, joy, and fulfillment then. It's not just true in our mundane daily lives, stuff like the weather, that you got to wait for some fulfillment. In our religion, too, we should find that while some great rewards come in the future, we also have some value even now coming from our tradition, coming from the path that we are on. In our school, Nishi-Honganji, we're sometimes kind of dismissive of the benefits in this life. And we, in the Nishi-Honganji tradition, and really Otaniha Ohigashi is just as reluctant, we're very reluctant to tell people that if you help the temple, builds positive karma. You do things for the temple, it builds positive karma. And positive karma brings peace and enjoyment into our lives. We don't tell people that as much as some other traditions do, but it is true. Doing good for others and for Buddhist tradition does bring contentment and delight into our lives. Our denominational founder, Shinran Shonin, spoke of the benefits now and here, and about benefits beyond our imagining later. What happens then will be wonderful beyond our imagining, but there's stuff happening now too if we wake up to it. Good stuff, good things. At two different points in his life, Shinran Shonin mentioned in some detail the benefits that come even now from being on this path. And first, in 1224, when he was 52 years old, Shinran listed these benefits on our path. In his masterwork, the Jodo Shinshu Kyogyo Sho Mon Rui, I'm one of 3 people on earth that insists on calling it by its right name. The Jodo Shinshu Kyogyo Sho Mon Rui. Because it's hard to say, it's often called the Kyogyo Shinsho. And this was his masterwork, and at 52, he told us this about being on this path even now. We receive these benefits. The benefit of being protected and sustained by unseen powers. The benefit of being protected and sustained by unseen powers. The benefit of being possessed of supreme virtues. The benefit of our karmic evil being transformed into good. The benefit of being protected and cared for by all the Buddhas. The benefit of being praised by all the Buddhas. The benefit of being constantly protected by the light of the Buddha's heart. The benefit of having great joy in our hearts. The benefit of being aware of Amida's benevolence and of responding to his virtue, responding in gratitude to his virtue. The benefit of constantly practicing the great compassion. The benefit of entering the stage of the truly settled. Now, some of these satisfactions may seem a bit ethereal, elusive, subtle. So I will speak about this assistance we receive from Amida Buddha and the Bodhisattvas who flow into our lives from the pure realm a bit now and a bit later, but I won't cover all this. And this is our theme again today, now and later, and the benefits we get from this path now are what we're currently discussing. The fundamental benefit now is composure, trust, confidence, kind of a default self that knows, I'm irritated right now and I can't stand what's going on, but you know, in a while it's going to be all right. Your default self becomes composed, trusting, and confident in this life. Other benefits now are numerous. The list has numbers 1 through 10, the early list from age 52. But if you look at some of those entries, actually mentions several benefits under each number, and then there seems to be some redundancy as well. A couple of those advantages we're told we receive on this path are repeated again. So it's not some set number of benefits, 10 or 12. There are numerous benefits and assistances that we receive on this path. Looking at the prose list from 1224, when Shinran was 52, allow me to comment on several ways that we do benefit, that we do well by following this path. Shinran tells us that we join the ranks of the truly settled. This means that we know we will attain Buddhahood at the end of this life. It will be a fact then that we are Buddhas, that we are awoken, and it is a fact now that we will be, that it's going to happen. Everything is set up. It's a fact now that this fulfillment will be ours then, when we become Buddhas in the next life. Trusting in this fact now will bring comfort and inspiration. Now, there's 2 of the benefits listed on this 1224 list when Shinran was 52 that sound very much the same, but they're really quite a bit different. And we are told, for instance, that we receive the benefit of constantly practicing great compassion. And we're also told that we are enabled to be aware of Amida Buddha's benevolence and to respond in gratitude for that goodness. Now, those sounds pretty much the same, but the actual meaning is a little different. The benefit of constantly practicing great compassion means that we say the Nembutsu, means we say the Buddha's name in forms like, I rely on the source of limitless wisdom and endless life. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Kimyo Jinjipo Mwiko Nurai, Namanda Buddhamanda, Namanda Bu, Namanda Bu, Namanda Buddhamanda. The benefit of constantly practicing great compassion is saying the Nembutsu. This is the way that the truth comes manifest in our lives. That may sound disappointing. It sounds like something more elevated, constantly practicing the great compassion, but what we're doing is uttering true language for once in our lives. Namo Amida Butsu is true. The promise of awakening is true. This true language is a simple verbal expression, Namo Amida Butsu, but it is great compassion that is strikingly present in that phrase. In saying the Nembutsu, we revel in the presence of the sacred, Namo Amida Butsu. Now, what we might have supposed that practicing great compassion meant is what is meant by responding in gratitude. Shinran again tells us that among the benefits we gain on this path is the benefit of being aware of Amida Buddha's benevolence and responding in gratitude to that goodness. This means that we do good for ourselves and for other persons and for the Buddha Dharma and for other wholesome traditions, perhaps democracy. This is a benefit that we are urged, we are moved to do these positive things as well. One benefit from that early list that I will speak of very briefly is being protected by and sustained by unseen forces. On this path, we walk surrounded by loving bodhisattvas, and we are protected and sustained by unseen forces. This is one rather remarkable advantage that comes to us on this path, on the Jodo Shinshu Buddhist path. And Shinran tells us this in his philosophical writing when he was 52 years old. When he was 85, 33 years later, Shinran wrote again on the topic of how we're benefited in this life on this path. And I've been working this phrase, on this path, and you'll see why. Because there's a systemic ambiguity here. Our path is Nembutsu Shinjin. Our path is faithfully saying the name. This trust and confidence and this saying the name, Shinran spent his lifetime trying to tell us they're not separate. You sometimes say Namo Amida Butsu. You are shone upon by this light that is illumining you, that is guiding you into the truth and goodness. Sometimes when that light is drawing you into the goodness, you say Namo Amida Butsu. You can't separate them. But when he started to talk about this stuff, at 52, he's talking about Shinjin, faith, trust, confidence. At 85, he's talking about Nembutsu. These are the benefits of saying the Nembutsu. When he was 52, he said, these are the benefits of having Shinjin, of being a faithful follower of the path. At 85, 33 years later, he says, this is what happens when you say Nembutsu. This is what happens when you say, I rely on the source of limitless wisdom and endless life. There's one other change besides that he says these are the benefits of having Shinjin when he's young, middle-aged, and when he's in his senior years, these are the benefits of saying Namo Amida Butsu. These are the benefits of saying the Buddha's name. The other difference is he added one benefit that wasn't in the early list, which is avoiding untimely death. Now again, when we talk about that earlier phrase, being protected and sustained by unseen forces, it's like taking vitamins. You know, it's something good's flowing into your life. You're getting better nutrition now. You still might die young. But Shinran, looking at what happened with him and his teacher Honen and his fellow students at the age of 85, says, you know, you seem to really not die too early on this path. Our people seem to not die young, you know. So he added that benefit later. Again, this would be some positive thing flowing into our lives that helps us not to die long. Not to die young, to avoid untimely death. There is a force in that direction. One of those unseen powers that protect and sustains us helps us to avoid untimely death. Isn't it great to be on this path? Now, on this path, again, means Nembutsu faith. Faith Nembutsu. But in his senior years, age 85, as I mentioned, Shinran emphasized Nembutsu, the saying of the Buddha's name, Namo Amida Butsu, We don't endeavor at it the way the Nichiren Shu people endeavor at Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. We don't endeavor at it the way some Tibetan and Zen Buddhists endeavor at Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, or Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhi Swaha. Sit there for hours. Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhi Swaha. There may well be a value to that, but this is not our way. There is a goodness, a comfort, a caring that is in that saying, and eventually it leads to all dreams coming true. Namo Amida Butsu. This path, this Nembutsu path, is available to everyone. Some people have deep faith, and some people don't really. All of us can say Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu means the Buddha promises enlightenment to all living beings. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. This is sacred, the presence of the sacred in our lives. And this simple saying of the Buddha's name is something that we all have. Some people have faith, some people have a little faith, some people have a lot of faith. Everybody can have Namo Amida Butsu. And so this was Shinran's emphasis in his senior years. Mark Uno talks about this a lot too. You see, less and less talk about Shinjin and more talk about Nembutsu as Shinran got older. We all have this simple saying of the Nembutsu in any form at all, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. I rely on the source of limitless wisdom and endless life. Gibun Kimura Sensei from Fresno one time said, thank you is the Nembutsu. If you're thinking about the Buddha's energy coming in and transforming your life, then thank you is the Nembutsu. It's not a fixed phrase. It's not Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhisvaha, which sounds the same everywhere in the world, Namo Amida Butsu sounds different. Namo Amida Butsu in Japan, Namo Mitoho in China. Who remembers the Vietnamese? Namanda Phat in Vietnamese. Namo Amida Phat in Vietnamese. It doesn't sound the same. Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhisvaha sounds everywhere in the world the same because it's magic words. Namo Amida Butsu is true. You will be well is true. It's going to be okay is the Nembutsu. There's a very old theory in Hinduism that the sacred utterances, they work better at a certain frequency, like Om, Om, Om. And so I was trying to tell somebody, look, if you look at what Gibun Kimura Sensei is saying, that's not what we're doing at all. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Doesn't matter, right? With thank you, any volume, any place on the musical scale, this is our responding in gratitude for something we're encountering, a goodness that's flowing into our lives. It's a simple path, but it has benefits now and benefits later. And I'm very grateful to you for listening to me talk about this now and then, the benefits we get now, which are numerous, and the benefit we get then, which is, in a sense, indescribable, to become someone who is a great source of light for others, as well as living in joy and deep vision oneself. This is coming to all of us. It's just around the bend. The train is just around the bend. It's going to pull into the station any minute. Namo Amida Butsu. 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 Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you again, Sensei, for a wonderful message and something for us to reflect on. Next, we will have a closing reflective reading. It's a very short one, but if everyone can rise. The sun will rise and set regardless. What we choose to do with the light while it's here is up to us. Journey wisely. And it's Alexander L. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Please be seated. Next we'll have some announcements. Anybody? We have somebody coming up?
Most of you heard this, but I don't want to see you Tuesday. There's no water. They're working on the sewer system, and the city tells us it's going to smell bad. When they tell you ahead of time it's going to smell bad, it's going to smell bad. And there's not going to be any water and you can't use the bathroom. So we better not hang out Tuesday. Usually on Tuesdays I have study classes and stuff. And I'll be here in case somebody shows up. I'll figure out what to do about it. Go to a coffee shop with them or something. But this just came up yesterday. We got the notice from the city. There'll be no water here Tuesday from 7:30 to 4, they say, which probably means like from 7:30 to 8 or something like that. So I did want to let you know that. Otherwise, we do have those study class on Tuesday morning, meditation Tuesday evening, another study class, evening one on Tuesdays. We will have the Tai Chi Thursday at 1 o'clock, and if anyone wants to do Tai Chi with me Tuesday, we'll go somewhere. We'll go somewhere safe. If it's not as bad as we're thinking, we'll do it here. But but I don't want to invite people in, from the outside when we don't have water. It's not safe. So I'm sorry for this bad news. And I really appreciate you all being here this morning. Thank you for listening.
Good morning, everyone. Just a couple of announcements. Next Saturday is the Winter Pacific Seminar at LA Betsuin. You can view it online or in person, and it's a little bit late for registration, but we could get you in if you want to. Talk to Kathy. And then on the 31st, it's a couple of weeks away, we're going to have our first Origami with Lisa class online, and if you wanted to come in person, it will be the 31st starting at 10 o'clock. You can email the temple, and I will send you the link. Most of you that have been coming to the origami class have already gotten a notice, and I'll send out a link again, but we're doing Valentine hearts and cute little things, so hope you could join us for the origami class. Thank you. And we are still having pickleball today after service, and on Mondays for Nikkei seniors and Pasadena Buddhist Temple members, starting at 11.
Any other announcements? Well, if not, we want to invite everybody who hasn't had a chance to offer incense to please do so. And I don't know if Sensei will have a little discussion group if people were interested. Yeah.
We usually hang out with people when we don't have anything else going on.
Yeah.
To chat about the Dharma if people want to.
Yeah. Please approach Sensei, and again, have a safe journey home. And thank you very much for coming to the Pasadena Buddhist Temple service.